What's up, everybody? We're back with another episode of Bullish Chips, where we use a proven and repeatable strategy to make money every day. This channel happens to focus on the Bullish Semiconductor ETF, which goes by the ticker symbol SOXL, but the charting and trading method we implement can be used to trade any company that's publicly traded in the U.S. stock market. Make sure you hit the like button if you liked the video today. Really helps the channel grow. Also, make sure you hit that subscribe button and notification bell. That way you're notified when we release that bonus content. We release the Monday through Thursday nightly videos and the one weekend video, but from time to time we release bonus content, so make sure you're notified of that. The nightly and weekend videos that we're doing tonight, they identify the triggers and targets for short-term scalps and intraday trades. We also identify the triggers and targets for long-term swings and leaps. So if you want a deeper dive into exactly how we set up our charts and the color coding, the trading levels that we use, make sure you check out the bonus content on our YouTube page. And lastly, for more information about this strat, there's free information in the description of this video. The strat is what we use as the base of our trading and charting methods. So I encourage you to watch the full video, because along with the triggers and targets, we do give some pretty good insight into the price action on all time frames. So let's take a look at the agenda for today. First, we're going to recap today's price action, then we'll zoom out like we always do and look at the week, month, quarter, and year. We'll zoom back in to look at the 4-hour markers and triggers and targets for tomorrow, Wednesday, October 22nd, and we'll look at the triggers and targets for the week, month, quarter, and year as well. So just looking at today's intraday price action, again, it was a pretty sideways day, right? There was a couple of opportunities intraday to make some decent money. Again, need to be at the money or in the money, preferably a couple of contracts at least to make a decent chunk of change. But even if you wanted to play smaller hands, it's a nice little pickup, daily pickup anyway, right? Just a smaller dollar amount. So you can see that we have the main levels out here: the previous high of day, overnight high, the overnight low, and the previous low of day. We've got the gap down here in this turquoise box, basically, and then some honorable mention levels that we've got out here. Excuse me. We've got 43.37 up here. That's the 100% fib extension of the bull flag that was created from the April low to July highs. And then also, once price opens for today, we have the opening print here at 41.80. All right. Lastly, we've got the week flip, which is right down here, right next to the previous low of day at 41.16. That's basically if price is below that level, the week is red, and if price is above that level, the week is green. So you want to monitor that as well. So we can see, today's price action opened here at 41.80. Initial push down, but then a push back up, wicking up through opening print, but then closing below opening print, and then going 2 down. So if we look at this 2 up in comparison to the last high or 2 up from Monday, yesterday, we can see this is a lower high. And the general rule is lower highs below or at opening print, we want to get into puts, and higher lows above or at opening print, we want to get into calls. So this files under the category of lower highs at or underneath opening print. So we went ahead and entered puts. You can see we got the push down for the gap close, and that's really all we were looking for on that scalp. Again, we are in a pretty decent uptrend from a day and up perspective. Even 4-hour, the 1 hour does have a downtrend that we're in, but from the 4-hour and up, so we want to be kind of tactical with how we're executing puts, right? Not trying to expect too much from them, but we did. So we got the gap close. We went ahead and stayed out. Excuse me. We did get a lower high here, so we did enter a couple more scalps to capitalize on that downside again, just because from the 5-minute perspective, that is a lower high once again, and it's under opening print and overnight low as well. So we do have this daily downtrend line, or lower high line is what I'll call it, because it wasn't locked in as a full downtrend with with lower high and lower low. We got the lower high with higher lows. So it's consolidating, but it's just a line that we want to keep track of as well. And you can see that, we rejected off of basically that level. It does kind of line up with the 61.8 fib of that bull flag that we were talking about earlier. So when we've got diagonal levels that line up with horizontal levels, those are usually enforced, right? Whether it's from the coming for a rejection or a bounce. But in this case, it was a rejection. So we did push back through what was that gap, and we got a lower low. But in this case, we did push back up to get a higher high. But you can see we got the soft higher low here. So if you did enter puts here, the exit point was here, right? We got the higher low here, and then once we went and broke above the 2 up here, that created a higher high. So that's where you want to exit. So not a lot of money to be made here. It was really the first move that you wanted to get. But then once you got the higher low, you could have taken that to the upside, which we ended up taking today. Seeing that the gap was closed, looking at it as basically a gap fill reversal. So we went ahead and, it was a more risky play because we're below that opening print and below overnight low. But just with how price action has gone over the past, couple weeks really now, we went ahead and made that entry. So we got the higher low here, higher high, higher low, slight higher high. But then we got the lower high here. We did have our stop right below here. Again, we recognize that we were below opening print and below overnight low. So we wanted to keep our stops tight. So we did actually get stopped out here, but it did end up pushing back up. So if you stayed in, or if your stop was a little bit lower, not so tight, then, congratulations on that move as well, because you got the rest of that push up, which was basically the high of the day, almost an equal high, slightly lower. But then we did get the rejection off of this last week's high, 41.93. See it had some corrective activity, basically is what we call it in the strat trading method. But corrective activity or sideways action, and then finally rejected, which was a little, I don't want to call it unusual, but you were coming from a higher high. I believe the president started talking here about no longer visiting with President Xi of China. So I believe that was probably what kicked off a little bit of that downwards action, but it did catch and just move sideways the rest of the day. You got the push up, but the drop at the end of the day, I'm not sure what it was. I was away from the screens at that point in time. But I know we had Netflix earnings and a couple of other earnings today after hours, so that might have been part of it as well. But again, just basically sideways action with a little bit of scalping opportunity, both to the downside and upside today. So, consolidation profit, if you were able to make those two moves, or even one of those moves, is all you could really ask for on a sideways day. So not a bad day. Let's look at things from the day perspective, the day chart. Let's go to a cleaner chart here. Oops. All right, and we can see again we got the higher low line or lower high line, but we've got the successive higher lows and this move up here. So we do have an uptrend from the day perspective, but we do just want to keep in mind this lower high line here, because we're running into this weekly and daily broadening formation, and again this 100 fib extension of that bull flag. So we want to just keep in mind that we've got a lot to fight through to go to the upside, right? It's not saying that we can't go to the upside still, but there's quite a few levels of resistance that we're trying to fight through at that time. And you can see since October 3rd, we've kind of been in this range of about 38, 39 to 42, 43. So we want to look at, we're at the top of that range there. So is this going to turn into another situation like at the end of July, where we had that 11-week sideways action, right? 11 weeks between 24 and 28, basically. Do we get another episode of that here, creating another bull flag maybe? I would look at that as bullish consolidation to the upside. But I also look at that as an opportunity to if this is going to be arranged to even sell calls here, but basically buy puts to swing to the bottom of the range and turn around and buy calls back to the top of the range until we can prove that we're going to create a higher low above this level or a lower high below this level, right, to send us back down. So we're just moving sideways at this time. We've got to think back to end of June, early July through the end of really went through September, right? We're 11 weeks of sideways action. We could be in store for that again. So kind of mentally prepare for getting to more of range trading instead of momentum or trend trading, right? So just want to be aware of that. Although we did, hammer back up on the day, we did go 2 down, locking in a higher high, which is a positive thing. But we did close red, meaning we've closed below where we opened. So even with that hammer candle structure, it is red still. So we did close that gap, so we don't really have that acting as a magnet to the downside. But we did trigger the 2 up, 2 down. Didn't reach its magnitude, obviously. So tomorrow there is the opportunity for the combo 2 down to finish that move. But at the same time, there's the opportunity to get a 2 down, 2 up to target the high of this range again. So we'll have our triggers and targets ready when we get into our notes and the triggers and targets for the intraday trades. But for right now, let's go ahead and look at the week perspective. Again, we did go 2 up after an inside week last week. That did present us with the opportunity for the 2-1-2 continuation to the upside, magnitude being the high of this 2, but it does also give the opportunity to set up a 1-2 up, and then next week get a 2 down, which would then have a magnitude of the low of this 2. So we want to keep in mind that, again, here's the 100 fib extension, a little bit more easy to see here on this week on the week chart, but you can see we have the low here in April, pushing up to this high here in July, going down to, pulling back to this low here, and then just ranging sideways till we broke above that range. And again, once you break above that range, you want to look for, basically the length of this pole here to be on top of the flag here. So we've basically reached that point once, basically twice now, and we've got to see if we're going to push through. It's going to be hard. Again, we've got this weekly broadening formation here. We're breaking through this weekly broadening formation here as well. So just looking at it from a very simple chart, it's we're bullish still, right? We've got a lot of room to pull back to create a higher low. We've talked about this basically every week, but we want to be cautious up here at these highs and just really be ready to play price either way. From the month, we're still looking great, right? So from the week above the week, long term or higher time frame perspective, we're still looking really bullish. Let's go ahead and get those broadening formations out of there. So yeah, we're 2 up on the month. We're closed, still very high above the high of last month. So we're in force with the 2 up, just continuing to look for those targets to the upside. The quarter is what we're really excited about because we are in a strat reversal. We've got this 1 combo 2 down, combo 2 up. Again, that triggers at the high of this first 2 down. The magnitude is not the high of the 1, but in fact the candle to the left of the 1, which is this 3, and the high up here is 70.08. So again, we're not saying we're going to get there in this quarter just because it triggered on the quarter chart, but that is the target. As long as we're above this 36.15, it'll just continue to turn into, combo 2 up the more we go 2 up each quarter to reach that full magnitude. So just want to keep that in mind. We're looking still really bullish from the quarter perspective, and then the year, although it started out looking pretty bleak, we did trigger the 1 2 up 2 down with the low being the 621. We didn't quite reach it here in April. We got to the 723, so we've turned this into a green hammer. So from a candle structure perspective, it's very bullish. We've got the green hammer, and it's created a higher low on the year chart, right? So we're continuing an uptrend. Although we did almost reach that 621, we didn't quite reach it. We've got the higher low here, and we're continuing to push the upside. The more we continue to push up, and the higher we can finish the year at the top of this candle, the better chance we have of going 2 down 2 up, which then again targets that 70.08 that we talked about on the quarter perspective. All right, so for those that are not familiar with this channel, that's what we've got from a higher time frame perspective, looking at a more zoomed out perspective. So we'll excuse me, we'll go ahead and get into our triggers and targets for tomorrow, which is Wednesday, October 22nd. We'll go ahead and bring up our scalp chart first. That way we can talk about how we might play tomorrow morning. We can see the major lines, the 4-hour markers that we talk about all the time, the previous high a day, overnight high, which is the current overnight high. This may move overnight, but we've got overnight low, which also may move overnight, and the previous low a day. So we've got those marked out, and we're just waiting for the opening print tomorrow morning. Now, again, the honorable mention lines, we've got here this solid purple line, which is last week's high, 41.93, and we've got the week flip here at 41.16. We really want to monitor that because we don't want to flip red on the week. That takes us out of time frame continuity, full time frame continuity, right? We've got that week, month, quarter, and year all green. So the more we're in that full time frame continuity, the more confidence you can have in the longs or the long calls that you may have, right? So let's just say, price action overnight stays within this range, and we actually, open somewhat inside that price action. Let's remove that gap because we closed it. Oops, that's not what we want to do. And we want to get the right thing here. All right, so let's say we open, somewhere in the middle of that overnight range that we've got here, down here around 40.96. The general rule, if you're not familiar with the channel, we've got the opening print, and then if we get price action which goes above and we pull back and we get a higher low at or above opening print, we want to enter calls, and we want to first target the overnight high and previous high a day. All right, so if we get price action that opens here, we get a push to the downside, maybe a bounce off this 15-minute broadening formation and a push up, but then we get a lower high at or below this opening print, then we want to enter puts, first targeting previous low a day, second targeting overnight low. All right, so it's really simple. This is the repeatable strategy that's proven to work time and time again. It's very simple as long as you follow the rules, and it's something that you can use to, if you even want to get down to the 1 minute and scalp something on that time frame. I personally wouldn't advise it just because it is a lot more noise on that 1 minute time frame. You can get stopped out of stuff pretty easy when the 5 minute will still be on an uptrend or a downtrend. So, it's at your risk, right? But if you want to go down on that level, you can use the same method. If you want to wait for the 15 minute, you can use the same method. I wouldn't go too much higher than the 15, maybe the hour if it's triggering within the first hour or so. Other than that, you keep in mind where price opened, and that may influence whether you're going to get calls or puts later on in the day. But as the day starts to go on, then you want to make sure you're looking at the 1 hour and the 4 hour, and not just looking at these opening print, overnight high, previous high a day, previous low a day, and overnight low, right? You keep in mind where you're at within those, but you want to make sure you're taking into account the 1 hour and the 4 hour and the day charts as the day continues to go on, right? So let's go ahead and look at that 4 hour time frame and talk about more of an intraday play, right? So from the 1 hour perspective, we've got something that's a little tricky, I would say, right? So we're dealing with, let me go ahead and make this a little bit bigger so everyone can see, right? So we're dealing with this, let's go ahead and take this out of here because it's not a true downtrend line, right? So we're dealing with this weekly broadening formation. We're dealing with last week's high. We're dealing with what has now been created, a daily broadening formation and that 100 fib extension. But we're also dealing with a 1-2 up combo 2 down, which the magnitude of that move is the low of this 2 down here at 38.32. But we're also looking at a possible 1-2 down combo 2 up situation, right? So we want to continue to watch how things move tomorrow. We may get another day where it moves overnight and we get sideways action during the day. That's what we've had Monday and Tuesday this week so far. So just keep in mind that depending on what your risk profile is, you may not have a play to make every single day. You may want to grab, something for more of a swing, especially if this gets, more defined as a range. This, 43, 44 to, 38, 39, 38 level, right? If that starts to get defined as a true range, then we want to keep that in mind as well. But for the intraday play, we just want to watch how things go, because, all right, it's pretty messy, right? We've got a 1-2 up combo 2 down that's triggered, but has set up a 1-2 down possible combo 2 up. But if it does go combo 2 up, that would trigger a 1-2 up, setting up a possible 1-2 up, and then a 2 down for the second 4-hour candle tomorrow, right? And that magnitude would be the low of this candle, 40.52, right? So we're really looking at choppy action, sideways action, but at the same time, it might give opportunities for those scalpers to make money, to the downside and to the upside, like there was today and yesterday. All right, so let's look at the day chart. This is more for, the overnight swing, maybe a couple day swing. You got the 2 up, the 2 up, 2 down, which has triggered. It hasn't met its magnitude, but it did lock in a higher high, right? So you've got an uptrend, and it is a possibility because of the hammer candle structure that we've got from today that we go 2 down and then 2 up tomorrow. So if we do that, then again, we're just pushing back to the top of the range. Not a whole lot of magnitude on that range, and it's not outside of this, 100% fib extension. So look for, even if we get the push up tomorrow, possibly just, muted action. It could be another overnight jump or just push in the morning and then sideways action like we had on Monday. But at the same time, we've still got on the table, the 2 up combo 2 down that could be on board, right? That brings us back to last week's 50% line. And again, we talked about in previous weeks how, and not just talked about, but showed how that 50% line of the previous week is, a major level from an intraday and intra-week perspective. Bounce point, or if it pushes through and get a lower high, then that's going to be, our point of resistance. But you can see how it kind of lines up with the 78.6 fib of this bull flag as well from that April 7th low. So let's go ahead and look at the notes so that we've got some hard numbers to look at. All right, so this is for Wednesday, October 22nd. There'll be 47 trading days left in the year. Tuesday, October 21st, close price is 40.55. So that put us red on the week. Wait a second. Are we red on the week? No, 41.16. 40. I had the wrong close price. 41.51. Sorry about that. So let's get our notes right. All right. So I don't know why I had that as red. All right, so we know we're green on the week. We go red at 41.16. We go red on the month at 34.17. Same with the quarter, and then even lower for the year. We've got our expected move for the week. If you're not familiar with that, go ahead and watch our weekend video. But that gives us a range of 45.81 to 34.77. Again, we closed that gap today that was below, so that puts our gaps below back down at the 31 level, and then we've got our gap above at 48 and then 59. But anyway, we talked about the scalping, how we look for higher lows above opening print to get into calls, lower highs below opening print to get into puts. But from the 4-hour, intraday perspective on the 4-hour chart, if we go to the downside, we get the 2-1-2 down, triggering at 41.26 with a magnitude of 40.52 and an extended target of 39.85. From the, if we're going to the upside, we get a 2-1-2 up continuation pattern, triggering at 41.94 with a magnitude of 42.03 and an extended target of 43.04. All right, so those are more the longer day trades that we're looking at there. On the day chart, if we go to the downside, it's a 2 up combo 2 down, triggering at 40.52 with the magnitude of 38.32. I'm sorry, intermediate target of 38.32 and a magnitude of 37.68. Again, because that's such a big move in the face of an uptrend, we want to make sure we have got an intermediate target, which is a possible bounce point for price action. So that's why we've got the intermediate target here on the downside before we actually reach magnitude. Now, if we go to the upside, that triggers a 2 down, 2 up at 42.03, with the magnitude of 4304, and we've got extended targets of 4337, which is last week's high, and then 4380, which is the 100% fib of that bull flag from the April 7th low. All right. So we won't go back to the charts for the week, month, quarter, and year. We've gone over those earlier in the video. We are in a 2-1-2 up on the week. It's no longer in force, so we're not bold. It's not bold, right? We're just underlined, showing that it has triggered at 41.93. Magnitude is 43.37. We haven't quite reached that yet, but we're back underneath the 41.93, so we're no longer in force, and we got to continue to monitor for the red 3 or the bearish engulfing candle on the week. That does trigger at 35.95, and we've got our magnitudes and extended targets to the downside if that does trigger. From the month perspective, we are in a 2-up, 2-up. It is still in force, but because we're above that 35.49, we've reached that first target, but still looking for that second target of 43.80, which again is that 100% fib extension of the bull flag. From the quarter, again, we're looking real good. We triggered the 2 down, combo 2 up, and reached magnitude. So that triggered at 35.49. The magnitude was 36.15. So that was reached, and then once that was reached and we went above it, that triggered the 1 combo 2 down, combo 2 up, and that has a magnitude of 70.08. But that's such a far off level that we do have these intermediate targets here in the middle. We've reached 2 of them. Continuing to look for the higher levels, and then once we get above 50, we'll start adding the additional intermediate levels before we get to that 70.08. Then on the year, we talked about how we flipped the 1, 2 up, 2 down. Didn't reach the full magnitude of 621, so we're setting a higher low so far. And we've got a green hammer on the year, so we look like we could be setting up for a 2 down, 2 up next year to go and target that 70.08 level. But there you have it. I hope those are the triggers and targets for the scalping all the way through the year. And hope everybody has enjoyed it. I try to cram in as much information as possible without taking up too much of your time. So that's why we try to kind of run through it real quick. If you need more time, just hit the rewind. But I hope everybody has enjoyed it. Make sure you give it a thumbs up. Again, it really helps the channel grow. This channel has grown a lot more than I thought it would, and I want to just help to continue to spread this information to as many people as possible, if it is well received, right? So if you all enjoy it, help the channel grow. Give us the thumbs up, and I appreciate you all for continuing to watch and helping this channel grow. I hope everybody has had success with the information that I've provided, and if you haven't, definitely make sure to let me know in the comments. I'd be glad to try and help you out in any way that I can. If you enjoyed the videos, let us know in the comments as well. It's nice to know that people are enjoying it. So everybody get some good rest tonight. If you're watching this tonight, if you're watching this in the morning, I hope you've got some good rest the night before, and hope everybody is refreshed, and I look forward to being out there trading.